Before reading Monster Blood, my kids and I made up a story for it. They had to make a potion to stop werewolves in the neighborhood. I think their version of the story was way cooler.
Argofunk Book Review, Argofunk Book Review.
Evan Ross and his Cocker Spaniel Trigger are both 12 years old. They're being forced to stay with Great Aunt Kathryn for a week. Aunt Kathryn is totally deaf. A few times, Evan insults her to her face because she can't hear him. That's pretty rude, Evan. Aunt Kathryn likes to walk around with blood-covered cooking knives. She laughs loudly at her own weird jokes, sort of like I do. Her favorite joke is calling herself an old witch. She jokes that Evan likes girls, but to be honest, that's not much of a joke. The only girl in the neighborhood is super awesome, and I would have had a crush on her in middle school. She's Andrea, although she prefers to be called Andy. She's not shy, she teases Evan a lot, and she jokes about the stupid things she has to deal with. Andy and Evan visit Wagner's toy store, which is old and almost abandoned. Evan finds a can of Monster Blood. The store owner insists it's not for sale, but the kids pressure him until he gives in. Monster Blood is a cold, green, slime-like substance. It bounces, stretches, and makes weird sucking noises. Trigger eats about half of it by accident. After that, he starts to grow rapidly. He doubles in size and nearly chokes on his collar. A pair of twin bullies harass our heroes. They order Evan to give them money. They steal Andy's bike. They even tie Aunt Kathryn's cat to a tree for no particular reason. These bullies are practically begging to become Monster Chow. The Monster Blood grows in size until it no longer fits the original can. Andy and Evan have a great time throwing the Monster Blood at each other and making a huge mess. This is a weird scene in retrospect. Our heroes get coated with the evil slime, and absolutely nothing happens. Why didn't they turn into monsters? Trigger doubles in size again. He turns into a werewolf and attacks the bullies. Just kidding! That was a nightmare Evan had. What really happens is that Evan becomes a giant monster, and haha, just kidding! That's another nightmare. Really, R.L. Stine? 2 nightmares in a row? We're over halfway through the book. Why don't you give us some real scares instead of fake outs? The bullies beat Evan up, and the Monster Blood grows so large they have to transfer it to a bucket. It keeps growing, so Evan puts it in a bathtub. In the best scare of the book, Evan falls in the bathtub and he has a long, hard struggle to get out before the Monster Blood sucks him in and chokes him to death. Evan tries to get help, but the toy store's out of business and Aunt Kathryn doesn't believe him. Trigger is now the size of a pony. How can his aunt not believe him? Evan and Andy try to put the Monster Blood in a trash can. When it falls out, the Monster Blood forms a giant green glob that rolls around and chases Evan. It sucks up both the bullies and goes into Aunt Kathryn's house. This brings us to the ending, which, it's kind of weird and comes from out of nowhere. You could argue it's the worst part of the book. It turns out that Aunt Kathryn's cat is secretly a witch. She cursed the Monster Blood in order to kill Evan. Because I guess she thought that was easier than pretending to be a normal cat for a week. Trigger appears and pushes the witch into the Monster Blood. This kills her and saves everyone. Andy and Evan decide to keep in touch, and the Monster Blood disappears until the sequel. The end. Post-book follow-up. I did not like this book. The concept of Monster Blood is stupid, not scary. It's a blob of slime that doesn't move or do anything, until the end. For most of the book, the only scare is, oh no, the Monster Blood got slightly larger! That scare is repeated several times, to the point where it's not scary anymore. I was expecting the Monster Blood to turn the dog into a monster, but no, it just made the dog larger. There are lost opportunities for scares when the Monster Blood spills onto Andy's yard, and a spider touches it. Imagine if it had become a giant spider! How terrifying would that have been? I thought Goosebumps was supposed to be a really intense series, but so far nobody's died in these books except the monsters. Even the bullies survive being inside monster blood for over 10 minutes. Call me cynical, but if there's a happy ending every single time, it makes these books a little less scary, because you know the main characters are gonna live no matter what happens. Not that the hero's life was in much danger in this particular book, since the monster was smaller than a trash can until the finale. Overall, I thought it was a bad book. The monster is not scary and does nothing until the ending. The ending with the witch just seems so out of place. I didn't like that. All I liked in this book was Andy and the bathtub scare, so I'll give the book 1 point for each of those things. I give Goosebumps number 3, Monster Blood, 2 slimes out of 10.